you'll be able to register for any of. They have the SEER Research Plus, they have the SEER Research Plus, and the NCC out data, which usually the SEER Research Plus and then the SEER Research Plus NCC is only available to people with the ERA NIH Commons account, because it has to be linked to that. So if you don't have that, then it means you are not capable of using those two data sets. But however, the data set which is available to almost everyone is the SEER research data. All what you have to do is just to register with your email. They send a link to your email, and then once you receive the link, you are able to click on the link to download the data, to download the software and have it installed on your PC. Unlike other research databases where you just have to go to those databases and you can extract your data, when it comes to SEER, you have to install their software before you can actually use it. So if you have already installed the software, this is what you see in the software. I don't know whether it might look different depending on the kind of computer someone is using, but on a Microsoft, if you are using Microsoft Windows as its desktop, this is how you are going to actually see it. So if you click on it for the first time, it's going to open, but quite often it will ask you for you to input your, how do you call it, your password and then your username. But if you have already done that and save it on your desktop, maybe by opening it multiple times, it may not ask you. But then from that point, you can actually click here, which is this button is where you are able to access the different data sets. So this button right here allow you to be able to access the different data sets which SEER has. So it takes some time to run, and at any time you open it, it updates, which means if there is a new data set added, it's going to update and then include those data sets. But currently, the most recent year of SEER data set is up to 2020. That is what we have. I think other years have not yet been populated into the system yet, but so you have the incidents, which is SEER data, which has 8 registries from 1975 to 2020. You have and you have the one with 12 registries, you have the one with 17 registries, and then and so on and so forth. So if you are using, of course, if you have the SEER research, and I am using the SEER Plus research and then the NCCR, yeah. So I'm likely to have more database available to me for use. But generally, I want to believe everyone, something like some of the initial database should be made available to every one of you. So some of them constitute about 22 registries, which means within the United States, a combination of 22 registries were actually combined to form that data. And you can see there is a SEER Plus here, right? And this data, which has Research Plus, will not be available to you guys. It will only be available to me. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so where there is plus, it's not available to you, and where there is also the NCC. I think the NCC have to do with kind of a children cancer data set, which I probably haven't looked at the full meaning, but I'm sure it's pretty much related to cancer, which is among children. Let me look at it quickly. So, yeah, NCC. Yeah, so that's National Childhood Cancer Registry. Yeah, so those are among database which is among children. So, okay, so once you are here, for instance, if we want to just stick to the first registry, which has the first SEER data, which has the incidence with 8 registries from 1997 to 1975 to 2020. So to be able to now get to the data, how you can put together your data set. Before we get there, also, if you want to know more about the SEER data, you can also click here. So we said view more details, okay? Once you click here, it takes you to the SEER database. And then you are able to know the data dictionary, so the dictionary of the variables. You can click here, and then you'll be able to learn more about the dictionary of that variables here. So you'll be able to know the meaning of some of the variables and stuff and others, and particularly if those of us who are not physicians and are just researchers, sometimes certain variables may be very difficult to understand. So if you really want to understand some variable, apart from maybe social determinant factors in which every one of us may know about it, there are certain variables that may be quite difficult to understand. So those who are medical doctors or physicians can easily understand that. So do you understand any variable, you have to go into the data dictionary or the, in other, they call it code book, right? For you to know what does it actually, a particular variable means. And then if you go down, we have, so for each of the available SEER data set, they give you some information about. When you click on this plus sign, you are able to know and learn a little bit about those information. And so that continues, and even including some of the, if you want, you can also use the search button to be able to search on a specific, let's say, for instance, if you want to know how did SEER calculated their survival time of a specific cancer, you can actually use the search here to be able to actually search for any further information. And so the data description for the SEER research and research plus, which of course you guys will have the SEER research, so you can, again, once you click it, you are able to learn more about it. Okay, so now let's go to the data itself. So once you have, so this is the available database. And once you look at this, this may not mean any, will mean nothing to you, but the way in which you can proceed for it mean nothing to you. For instance, you go to selection, right? So with a selection, it allows you to be able to select a specific kind of data or maybe information you would want to actually have for your research or your analysis. And so before you even proceed to the database, you should already have what is called your study plan, or maybe your analysis plan, where you know which variable you are going to collect already, right? Which variable is going to be your outcome variable, which variable is going to be how many years of data set you are actually looking for, and all those that, right? So once you are here, you have what is called the malignant behavior and then known age. Anyway, those are always checked by default. So you go to edit. Once you are here at edit, that is where you are actually going to be able to select some information you would want to analyze, collect as a data for your analysis. So at this point, it allows you to tell the SEER data, I want you to focus on this specific variables or this specific group or this specific information. right? So for instance, we have age at diagnostics, right? If you hit on the plus minus, it gives you any information within the folder. So age at diagnosis means all the individual age. So let's assume you want to focus on maybe the aging population, right? Or maybe the youth population. So assuming we want to focus on the aging population for maybe a specific cancer, right? Let's say aging population from 50 years, right, and above, right? So we can hit on 50 years, and then whilst you hold your cursor, you can scroll all the way down to 85 plus. So you can see here, from here, it says that age at diagnostics record, which is with less than 1 year old. So we are focusing on equal. So it means for this variable, we are choosing only the age from 50 years all the way down to 85 plus. And that is what the data we are going to select. Okay, so having done that, we would want to also still select more. So we can go on sex. Maybe if you want to focus on male, we can only select male, or we can select females only. And maybe if you want both male and female, we just leave it as it is. Once we go to where we are going to collect the columns of our data set or the variable itself, we'll be able to do that. But next, we also have years of diagnostics. Maybe you might not want to focus on from 1975 to 2000. And then one also issue that you may encounter is the fact that now, after you have selected your data and you have executed the process, you have to copy the data and paste it in Excel. And if you have millions of data, sometimes Excel cannot hold all of them. Yeah. So maybe you might want to focus on a specific year. So rather than, let's say, you want to focus on from 1975 to 2020, you said, okay, no, I want to be more current, right? So maybe I'm going to focus on, let's say, from 2000, I hold a cursor and scroll all the way down to 2020. That is where I'm going to focus on. So now that have been selected, okay, then I can minimize the folder and then go to this folder. This folder is called the site, and then this is morphology, site and morphology. The site and morphology is where, what type of cancer am I going to actually focus on for my analysis? Is it brain cancer? Is it lung cancer? Is it prostate cancer? Is it breast cancer? Is it leukemia? Whichever cancer you might think of, if we click on the site and if we click under the site and morphology, if we click on site record ICD-03 WHO 2008, we get another information here under the values. So from here, if you want to focus on, let's say, brain cancer, we can select brain cancer. If you want to focus on liver cancer, we can select liver cancer. If you want to focus on pancreatic cancer, any type of cancer you would want to focus on. So we have the lung and bronchus cancer, which is specifically about lung cancer. We have breast cancer, which you have cervical cancer. So any cancer at all, you can actually look at it. So let's assume, which cancer do you want me to choose? Maybe we can choose, let's look for, maybe since we are looking for the age, I don't know, maybe if we focus on, is it brain cancer, or let's look at lung cancer, probably. Maybe you are more familiar with lung cancer. So lung and bronchus cancer, usually those are always combined. So I have selected lung and bronchus cancer. And then we also have, you can also select the behavior code. Maybe you would want to focus on only the malignant of the cancer, right? So you choose only, okay, I want to focus on only lung cancer malignant, right? So which means it leaves the in situ, the borderline, or the vein all out. And then there are others you can also select and select, but again, for any of them in which you click on and you want to make a selection, you have to be able to understand that particular that particular variable or that particular data you would want to actually include. Yeah. Okay, so let's just look at, we are not going to select any of this. So, okay. So we have been able to select the age of the individual, the years of diagnostics. We've been able to select, we are focusing on, how do you call it, lung cancer, and then we are looking at malignant. Then you can also even race. You might want to say, okay, maybe I want to focus on the Black population. I want to focus on only the white population. I want to focus on the other population, which is American, Alaska, Indian, the Asian, Pacific Islander populations. That's what I only want to focus on. You can just select. So assuming I want to focus on only the Black population, I can select Black population only. So which means the data I'm going to extract is going to be a data for only the Black population. But if I want to have all the race and ethnicity group, I can also, maybe that my analysis has to do with looking at race and ethnicity, right? Maybe lung cancer survivor among the various race and ethnicity group, right? Then I don't have to specifically select a specific race group. I have to leave that folder without selecting anything. But if I want to focus on the Black, I have the Black selected. Okay, so so I can go on and on and on, but in the meantime, more importantly, what you would want to select is the type of cancer which you are going to analyze, which is under the morphology, the years of the cancer, and probably the age of the individual. These are three key things you might want to, maybe you might want to focus on age 18 years and above, yeah. So once I have selected this, I go, okay. So now once I'm here, so now I'm now going to, from selection, I'll go to table. So now, whatever I'm going to include in my table at this point is only limited to what I have selected from the database. So now I'm going to now build my table. So in order to build my table, so I have age, yes, I have to select age. Now I'm creating the columns of the table, which we'll call the variables of the table, right? So I said, okay, yes, I want you to include age. So I click on age and then I tap on column. Now it put it here. So you can see under column, I have it here, right? Then I can minimize this and then I go to race. Race, I can tap on race and have it a column. But remember, the race is only going to be for Blacks, right? So eventually under the race column, you're only going to see black, 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 black. All the others wouldn't exist. Then I can select sex of the individual. I can select the years of diagnostics. In the years of diagnostics, our selection was from 2000 to 2020, right? So I create it as a column. Then I can minimize this. I can minimize this one. So, which means in my data currently, I have the sex of the individual for the Blacks, the years of diagnosis, and then the age of the individual. Then I can go to also the site morphology again. And then there are information I can include, which is the primary site, right? We can have the primary site, you can have the grade of the cancer, you can have also the site recode. Now the site recode is usually also going to give you, I think the site recording which we took from the morphology was only based on the lung cancer or bronchus, right? Lung and bronchus cancer. So for instance, we might want to select And then we also have the behavior of the cancer. So we have the South record, we can create a column for it. And then we can have, we can go down and then probably maybe have primary site label. So which probably is going to give us the primary site label. We can add it in the primary site, which is going to give us, that may be the distance, the regional, or the localized stage of the cancer. Then, I mean, histology type, you might want to add it, but you have to be able to understand when we say the histology type of the cancer, what does it actually mean? And then we have the grade of the cancer. So we have different grades. So sometimes you can choose all the different grades to be able to understand which grade to use, right? So let's assume, let's say, grade record. I'm using maybe grade pathological grade. Then we have the lateral stages to laterality. You might want to add it as well. So, okay, so let me just say, those are just what I want to pick from the site and morphology. And then we also have something like the stage of the stages, which of the cancer, which actually we have the summarized stage, we have the combined summary stage. So you can add either of them just to be able to understand what does that mean in terms of the staging of the cancer. And then we have the staging 8th edition, 7th edition, whichever way, but that's fine. Then we go to the therapy, what type of treatment, right? So maybe I might want to focus on, that is, here is where if you are looking at, let's say, assessing surgical treatment of the lung cancer, then of course, you are focusing on the surgery then you have to pick a surgery. So maybe I would want to also maybe include, let's say, the radiation of the cancer. Maybe I would want to look at, for instance, people that the chemotherapy, maybe people who had both surgery and then radiation. Maybe I just also want to look at both in cases. Then we have also the months from diagnosis to treatment, and that is the treatment time. So assuming you are performing some treatment time analysis, which I think in the past, their last cohort, which they have their manuscripts available under review, they actually assess something on the treatment initiation, which has to do with this particular variable. So we can choose to add it. Then we have, let's say, the extent of the disease, right? So you can have the extent of the disease, and these are different information you can actually look up to. Sometimes you have the tumor size, maybe how much does the tumor size of the individual impact, let's say, their survival, or maybe the time they are going to have their treatment, or the type of treatment they have. You can actually include that. So, and there could be several distances. So, okay, let me leave that one there. And then we also have extent of disease, which is also something you can actually look into. And I think also one thing is the cause of death, which is very important part. That the cause of death is where you can have the survival months. How long did it take for the individual to survive with the disease? You can. And then what is the vital status? Did a person die, or is the person alive at the end of the study? Because in a survival analysis, you are going to need the survival time of the individual, and then the vital time or the event, which is either the person die or is still alive. So you can also add it. Then there are other informations in which you can also add as well. So let me see. There is also, I think, there is something here on the median income of the individual. So maybe you would want to see the median income of the individual. And then sometimes whether the individual is staying in the rural or the urban. So you can maybe ask as a column. Okay, now let's assume this is all what we would want to add at this stage, right? So, and then there is also year of record, this year of follow-up. So assuming your analysis has to do with following up of the individual, you would want to also know, so maybe it's something you can include. Okay, I mean, we have enough data, but at this stage, you can always rearrange your columns even before you extract the data. So for instance, I would always want the years of diagnosis to come first. So I can click on it and then say, go up, 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 up.
Hi, Dr. Mamudu. Sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna have to run a class, but I'll watch the video.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. So have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, you guys too. So yeah.
And then don't forget to send me let me know when you are done with the revising of the citations.
I will.
Okay, sounds good. Take care. Okay, so once you go to the years of diagnostics, and then also if you want, you can also, maybe you would want all the social demographic factors to start. So you can rearrange. For instance, we have the median income of the individual. So maybe I can move it all the way up to be very close to the socio-demographics of the individuals, which is maybe after sex. And then maybe usually also the urban rural is a demographic factor. So I can just push it all the way up. And then let's say, let me let it come after sex. And then usually maybe you might want your outcome variables. So let's say I would want the survival time to come last, followed by the vital of the survival time, that the vital status. That is whether the individual survive it or not. Then also there is there was this value which has time. So this can also be another outcome to be assessed, which is the months from diagnosis to treatment. So I can pull it down close to the survivor. Okay. So you can rearrange your data the way you want to see the columns, right? Once you've done that, you go to output. Now with the output, now you are about to execute and then extract your data set. But before you do that, you have to be able to give it a name for which you are going to save it, right? So let's say I say that black, so I'm going to name it black lung cancer. Black lung cancer. SEER data. Then let's say I'm going to say 2000 to 2020. Okay. So now to execute this process, you go to execute, this button here. So once you hit on execute, you are going to get some warning. You click OK, you click OK again, and now it's going to process everything for you. So now it says that the total record in which you have is 22,222, which is going to be the width of data from 2000 to 2022. So yes, we now have our data available. At this stage, all what you have to do is just to, let's say you can just open your Excel. You can just open your Excel, and then now you can just hit on, and so you have the years. You can see how it has been arranged, right? Everything is clean and done, ready for you to just download it. So you can click anywhere here, and then you go to Control A. Control A means copy all. Then you go to Control C, right? Now I have copied. I can now bring up my Excel, and then I say Control V. Yes. Now we have our data, and then now we can perform. We can do some data cleaning, because you can see there are some blanks here, right? which has to be taken care of and stuff and others. But the good news is we have our data available, and then you can see we have the vital status of the individual, whether they were alive or died with the cancer among the Blacks who were diagnosed with lung or bronchial cancer. And then we have their survival time. And then we also have the time from treatment, from diagnosis to treatment. And then we have any other information that was collected. So yes, we have our data now available for analysis. Question? Okay, so this is how you can actually extract data from SEER using the SEER star software, which it's available for everyone. And then once you are the platform, you can always close this, but if you want to close it, you can also save it. But if you save this your data, it is going to save it as a SEER file. So you can reopen it and maybe update it if you want to make an inclusion of new variables or something like that, you can do that. But if you don't want to save it, you say that no. Now you still have your data. You can actually go ahead and then do any other addition or editing or any